episode 86 of the Sports Marketing Machine podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Nizer. Today, I sit down with Maria Valentine, the VP of Entertainment for the Beloit Skycarp minor league baseball team, to talk about a promotion that worked. It was Eras Night, Taylor Swift themed, fun night that sold a lot of tickets, got their sponsor very happy, and had so much fun. Maria, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here.
So we're going to talk all about Taylor Swift and Eras Night and talk all about the promotions that you did, because you did it twice this year. So obviously you had great success on the first one and some success on the second one as well. But let's back up the truck. How did you start planning this? Where did the idea come from? Let's just kind of start from the beginning.
So it started in our end of season retreat last year. We obviously, that's a great time to start ideating on new and fun things. And obviously at that point, like the Eras tour was in full swing, but also it was like, we had it in like mid to late October. So that was right after she started dating Travis Kelce and like things really exploded. So I think we were like, how do we capitalize on Taylor Swift? And then one of our Pensacola, people down south with our sister team down in Pensacola, she, huge Swiftie, was like, well, they're still touring. She's still touring into like the next fall. So we looked and we're like, oh, well, she's in Indianapolis only in November here in a couple weeks. So we were like, well, only a couple months after the season. Indy is a very doable drive from Beloit. So we were like, well, we should see if we can't give away some tickets. And we knew, Eras Tourist tickets are not cheap, as you know, and the prices only went up when they hit the secondary market. So we were like, there's going to be people out there that will want these. And so we just kind of figured that was one of those lightning in a bottle things, right? You don't know how long someone's going to be popular for. The Eras Tour is finite, right? It has an end. And so we were like, well, this is perfect. So let's see if we can do something surrounding it, and we got tickets for it, and we're like, okay, like let's do this thing. So yeah, it started all the way back in the fall, and we kind of, I think the whole off season felt like this is going to be one of those nights. And the more we brought it up to people, the more buzz there was around town for it. We got a sponsor involved who's really jacked up about it, and like we got her excited about it maybe April or May, and she was like, I'm so ready to do this. And yeah, so it just, like, we could feel the hype like really building up around, and we're like, all right, I think we did hit on this. So like now we got to do a really good job of making it amazing.
So you got the tickets. Did you buy them from Ticketmaster or StubHub, or where'd you get them? And then roughly what do you think you paid for them? Did you get a 4-set, 2-set? What'd you get?
Yeah, so initially I was open 4, and then I hit the secondary ticket markets, and I gasped, and I was like, no, we're gonna probably just have to go with just 2. So we did end up working with StubHub through to get the tickets and everything, and they were, I want to say, I think the first round was maybe 6,000-ish, and that's after fees. I think the biggest surprise hit me when I got to the checkout page, and then StubHub decided to say it's $850 fees per ticket.
Wow.
And so initially I was like, wow, these aren't actually that bad. Like maybe we do 4. And then I got to the fees page and I said, yeah, oh my gosh. That was stunning to me that they're charging that much on that. And so good for StubHub. But yeah, so that was the big kicker at the end there, adding about $1,600 extra dollars. But we really want to make sure they were decent seats. They're straight onto the stage. We don't want to put somebody like behind the stage and, give them a less than fun experience. So they're pretty much dead center, couple sections up, but they should be pretty great seats from, I asked my big Swifties on my promo team, I was like, are these going to be good? And they're like, oh my gosh. So I was like, all right, good. So we're fine. But then I did have to have some moral support in the room when I bought the tickets, because personally I would never spend that much on a concert ticket. So I just was like, somebody has to be in here while I drop this amount of money on concert tickets.
When I hit go, my heart's gonna drop here, right?
Yeah. I was not looking forward to that Amex report for finance at the end of the month.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, but we made our money back and then some on the night. So it was absolutely 110% worth it to make that spend.
Absolutely. So you spent a little bit more than 6 total, all said and done. So that's actually, when you think about it, that's a little bit cheaper than bobbleheads, fireworks, some of the typical promotions. So you kind of did okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a sponsor associated with the night who was making a major investment around like $10,000. So we already knew that the sponsor was covering those costs. And so we were like, okay, well then, single game ticket sales is what's going to really take us over and make this an extremely profitable day for us too.
Perfect. All right. So you are planning for a game in early June. You've got tickets. What else is going on that night to really get people fired up and excited?
I mean, kudos to Matt Mitchie, our creative services director, because he took my vision and really ran with it. I looked at her all of her music, and I was like, well, if you break this out, I was like, she actually has, you can make it 9 innings of eras,
Hmm.
which worked out so well. And then of course she released a new album, and I was like, all right, well, we got to pray for extra innings if we want to get to the new Tortured Poets Department stuff. But when you broke it out, it was like each inning could be a different era of her music, and each one of them, from what I gathered, is that like they have their own color scheme, and obviously there's their own music and different, like, ex-boyfriends or boyfriends during the time frame. So we were like, there's a lot we could play with. So each inning, Matt was able to he opened the inning with an album cover. So the screen took over with a Poopsie in place of Taylor Swift album cover. So like Folklore in the Woods in black and white, but it's Poopsie standing in the middle of the
Hmm.
woods in black and white. So he did that. And then I leaned really heavily. I'm not a huge Swiftie. I am now because it was really cool night, and it was just nice to like talk more to Swifties and get, you know, an understanding of what they do. But I talked to my promo team who are huge Taylor Swift fans, who had been to her Eras Tour show, and really kind of pushed them and be like, how do I make this as, all encompassing as possible? And so they gave me music for each inning based on the era we were doing. They made
Hmm.
sure we were using the Taylor's version and not the old version, and sent a Spotify playlist. They gave us a pregame playlist of music. Two of the girls even were so passionate they were on our MCs that night, and they wore what they wore to the Eras Tour. So we're talking like purple sparkly dresses and cowboy hats and cowboy boots. They, prepped their whole speech. And so it was like their opening introduction of the night was like riddled with Taylor Swift references and things like that. But yeah, so we had each inning was visually on the board. It was that the opposing team's headshots were all of her ex-boyfriends, and which we thought was kind of entertaining. People got a big kick out of it and were like taking pictures as they would go through the different individuals. But then, in game two, the girls helped me come up with a ton of different fun things. We did an ex-boyfriend's race where Travis Kelce came out at the end. It was just one of our promo team members in a Travis Kelce jersey, came out at the end and won it in the back of an ATV, and the whole crowd went nuts. We weren't sure. We were like, either this is going to fall so flat or people are going to love it. And the crowd went ballistic for it. They thought it was hilarious. We had a friendship bracelet making station on the concourse, so cheap and easy to activate. We
Hmm.
did glitter tattoos as well. I like it. I try to pay for all of those things up front ourselves so that it's free for fans. I hate when you come in and you have to spend extra money to go do
Hmm.
those things. So we just kind of, again, just running our numbers, we were like, this is going to make sense for us to have.
Hmm.
The partner that we had worked with is a local apparel company. So they brought in some fun little like trinkets and Eras Tours merch, and they sold out of pretty much everything they had. We gave away, one of the things she does at her concert, I guess, is she gives a little kid a hat. And so we have an
Hmm.
energetic fan of the game. So instead of doing that, we did it as like that moment of handing the hat off.
Hmm.
Gosh, it truly felt to me like one of our best, most fully activated like concourse to the field, and all of the
Hmm.
different promos in between innings were themed, and yeah, it was a blast. And it was great. Like the little girls, you could hear them singing along throughout the inning whenever Matt would play one of her different songs each inning.
Hmm.
Our fireworks were themed Taylor Swift. They gave us a whole playlist with all of her songs that have stuff to do with like Sparks Fly is one of the songs in there. So we just had a kind of like a really great lineup for it.
And it sounds like you had so many people just sharing ideas and
Yeah.
coming up with stuff. And it really, I think when you talk about culture and you're getting people all on the same page and pulling at the same rope, like that's exactly what happened in this case.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I knew it. I was like, I'm not an expert, and I shouldn't be the person piloting this day. Yes, I'm going to be the
Hmm.
one that pulls it all together, but I was like, how can I leverage those around me? And like, Mandy and Mason and the other gals on our promo team who are huge Taylor Swift fans. I mean,
Hmm.
they made on their own time like 100+ friendship. I got my friendship bracelet on today. It's my mama goose friendship bracelet that they made for me, but they made like hundreds of those on their own, that so that they could give them out throughout the course of the night. That was just something they were so excited about. So it was like, well, why wouldn't I get them
Hmm.
involved? The night before they came up with the heart hands fan cam. So like that fan
Hmm.
cam was everybody doing this. I hadn't thought of that. And then they texted me the night before. They're like, we got to do this for the fan cam. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. Because that
That's
was
a great idea.
super cool moment where everybody in the stadium is up doing it through the fan cam. And so it was just like leaning on them made it so easy. and they gave Matt a ton of resources from a graphic design, like they got him all the images of the album covers he should use or things like that. So they did so much heavy lifting and it made it so much easier. But then it also made it so authentic because
Hmm.
there were Swifties, like genuine Swifties in the house. I mean, they came, people were dressed up and fully in theme. And so it was really nice to see like that be so well received. And it's because we leaned on people who knew it better than we did.
And that tells your maturity as a marketing person, where you don't have the best ideas, and you raise your hand and say, "I don't know that much about this, but I'm going to seek some counsel from someone else." So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a fun night. It sounds like everyone had a blast.
Yeah.
But how did you promote it? So you had the tickets. Like, what did you do to promote? You're doing your Facebook ads, Meta, all the Instagram, all that stuff, right? What else did you do?
Yeah, so we kind of have this project management tool that we use to kind of track these bigger nights that we feel genuinely have sellout potential, and then we really try to
Hmm.
hammer them. So we have in addition to those meta ads, we had just regularly scheduled organic social media posts. We were also doing an incentive where to double your chances to win. Basically, double scan you because it was you scan your ticket, you were automatically entered to win. But basically, to get a double scan, if you
Hmm.
went to Walnut Creek, the sponsor, if you went to their location downtown and scanned the QR code, you double entered every single ticket that you had bought to the game. So
Hmm.
they saw over 250 people come through the
Wow.
store. So we're projecting probably like 4 tickets on average per person, probably 1,000-ish tickets went and doubled their chances of winning by going to the downtown store. So one, great traffic for them. Two, to see that many people go meant, yeah, our message was getting across. We use constant contact as well for this
Hmm.
a lot, and we utilized our marketing source codes for it as well to kind of track how well we were doing. That was easily our most clicked. I looked it up yesterday because I knew we'd be chatting today, and it was easily our most clicked campaign
Hmm.
out of anything we've sent via email to our people. And then really just word of mouth, right? So we were on local news stations leading up to it talking about it. I was on radio a bunch of times. Our radio ads too were pretty much like all eras themed in the like 3 weeks leading up to it. I don't think we really pushed anything else, but we were like,
Hmm.
we can sell this, we can completely sell this night out. Like, let's do it.
Hmm.
And then word of mouth was insane for this. I mean, we released it early. We had the stuff on our website. I mean, I think everybody in here, whenever they were talking to somebody, was like, Era's night, Era's night, Era's night. You got it. You have to know about this. And I really felt that community buzz. I had people from different companies we work with being like, can our people, like, if they buy a ticket, like everybody was asking questions after question about like what gets us to the chance to win these seats, and things
Hmm.
like that. So you could just feel that energy from around town. People were talking about it. We also utilized the downtown farmers market as well. We visited there. We had flyers for it and things like that. So some of your more classic guerrilla stuff too. But
Hmm.
we didn't do any like billboards or anything like that in town. It was really pretty much a digital campaign with those handful of like word of mouth style activations. But yeah, people knew.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a great buzz around town. Let's go back to that sponsorship activation.
Mhm.
So the sponsor has a shop or what have you. They
Right.
go down. What are they? They're scanning a QR code with their ticket. How did that work?
Right. So it was basically we utilized SurveyMonkey. It's what we use to for all of our surveys. So we just built them a QR code. It was like, Eras Tour branded, and then they kind of had the talking points to explain what was going on. But essentially, either whether you had bought a ticket or not bought a ticket, you could scan the QR code. But then what we would do, it was a little heavy lifting on my back end, but essentially what I did, up to we pulled the sign out the day before, so that we had time to do this on our end. But essentially what I did then is correlate, you know, we said, hey, whatever email you put in here, make sure it's the email that you use when you purchase your ticket. So that way I basically just went in and did a little magic in Excel and correlated and said, okay, found them. How many tickets did they order? Okay, great. We're multiplying their order. And so we had some like preset spreadsheets kind of ready to go into the game so that we, had the proper list to select from so that everybody's double entries were included. So then they basically at the end of it had a checkbox where it was like, have you already purchased your tickets to Era's night? And I was like, yes, I'm excited to go, or no, but I plan to. And then so for those who selected the no, but I plan to, we had some special constant contact emails going out to those folks saying, hey, make sure you bought your Eras Tours tickets. We know you already got your double entry, but like, here's a link to buy.
Mhm.
And I don't think there was anybody on that no, but I plan to list that didn't end up buying a ticket. So that obviously, they clearly wanted to go, but I think those reminders then ensured that they all ended up buying a ticket. So
I love the
yeah.
personalization with that, where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we know you got one sets of entries. Let's get you going on the second one there. So
Right.
I'm glad you kind of spoke right to that personalization because that
Yeah.
probably helped with it along with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, definitely did. We knew those were captive fans who were interested in
Hmm.
going or just big supporters of the sponsor, and we're like, I
Hmm.
want to go and support them by going. So yeah, it definitely helped move the needle for sure.
Did you see any group sales or did you include this in any mini plans? What did that look like?
Yeah, so it was included in our mini plans, and it was also we sold a 800 person group to a local dance company. So like
Uh-huh.
they have every single age of dancers, and so we were like, well, what more of a perfect group? So kudos to
That's
Gavin and
fantastic.
in our group sales side who sold those, and it actually ended up being somebody from the dance group who ended up winning one of the tickets. They obviously had quite a few entries, and
Hmm.
so but yeah, so and she was like that was the best, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so that was the biggest group, and then so we kind of to keep them involved with the day too, we were like, a dance group, you guys want to come out and do some dance routines to Taylor Swift music before the game starts? So we had a couple
Hmm.
of the different dance classes ended up putting together some routines, couple 5 minute ones to like different T Swift music, so which was super cute. Great added bonus for me. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
great. I don't have to do anything for the pregame. I'll just have this going on. Like, that's awesome. So, great way to get those girls involved. And they were all pretty pumped up to be there.
I think that's a home run right there when you can
Yeah.
sell an 800 person group to a
Yeah.
dance studio because it's Taylor Swift night.
Exactly.
As a dad who has daughters in dance,
Yeah.
like Taylor Swift, my girls would go crazy for. So, of course, we're going, right? So,
Yeah.
800 tickets. I mean, that's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
did they perform pregame for the first game or for the second one?
Just for the first game.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, perfect. So then, mini plan packages, did this kind of, you think this kind of helped sell more mini plans? Was it only part of mini plans? What did that look like?
Yeah, it was part of only certain mini plans. It's part of our larger mini plan packages. We kind of reward them with a few more of those like Saturday games.
Hmm.
I was just talking to Jacob in our ticket office the other day, and a lot of whenever they had somebody, because we also allowed people to fully customize their mini plan. Like if they didn't like the dates or couldn't
Hmm.
make them, they could change them. So he said all of those folks ended up changing over to Saturdays, with the majority of them ending up being the Eras
On the
night, which
Taylor
makes
Swift
sense,
one.
right? It's like,
Yes.
yeah, so you can totally appreciate where they're coming from there. But yeah, so it was definitely popular. So it was part of the 9 game plans out from the outset. But then we saw a lot of people also add it actually as part of their plan as well. So
Yeah, that
definitely
worked out.
popular
So
for
if
the
you bought
repeat.
a 5 game plan, you're like, hey, I'm not going to use this
Yeah.
Saturday. Can I upgrade to get to Taylor Swift? Was
Yep.
there any additional charge or could they just trade one for one?
No, they could just trade one for one. We actually talked about that we just came back from our staff retreat, and we said maybe there is, because we've got a new idea for like we think this big ticket giveaway seems to be fun for our fans. So
Hmm.
we have a cool one this year that I'm pretty excited about that hits a similar demographic, but we're like, yeah, maybe there's something there where it's like it's a premium if it's
Hmm.
selling as well as we think. We also don't want to turn away sales to help sell out a night, but we're
Hmm.
also like, hey, maybe there is like for these marquee dates where it's like you now have your ticket is entering you for the chance to win something spectacular. Like, yeah, maybe we have to do that.
Yep, it's almost like at the NBA. You can trade your ticket in to see LeBron, but it's going to cost you a couple bucks more, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, that
Yep.
makes sense. So how did you give the tickets away? How did that come out? How did
Yeah,
it come together?
it was a strat. We practiced actually quite a bit to make sure that we felt confident. Shout out to President Zach Brockman for encouraging us to do that,
Hmm.
because I felt a lot better about it the night of. But essentially, what we did is we run in the 7th inning a no-show export report from TDC, and so we run that report, and it basically tells us who actually scanned their tickets in and how many of their tickets they scanned. So we would run that report. Then we combined it with for groups as well. We had group people submit names of individuals who were within their group if they were interested in winning. Because right,
Hmm.
the only email we get for a group typically is
Hmm.
just the group leader. So we wanted to make sure that they had a chance within it. Like we didn't want to just pick the group leader. Like let's pick within the group. So we merged that with that Walnut Creek double entry. So
Hmm.
we built our full list of like, and then I utilized some VLOOKUP formulas in Excel to expand, like, because you said it was like, oh, kid spot. 750 tickets scanned. Okay, now we got to expand it so that we're selecting potentially 750 entries from KidSpot. But then also same with everybody else. If you bought 8 tickets to the game, we expanded it. Make sure you got your eight entries, and then
Hmm.
obviously doubled those who had gone to Walnut Creek. So we had this big list. Then again, just using, shout out to Excel for having simple random in between select me a name, select me an email.
Hmm.
I pulled the email address. I'd read it off to Jacob, our box office manager. He'd search for them in the system. He would tell us where their seat location was. And then Ethan, our on-field MC, would radio for him and tell
Hmm.
him we're looking for so and so and so and so. Go check their seats. We gotta see if there's, they have these 4 seats. Go look to see. He would then follow up and say, no, nobody's in those seats. Okay, then call up to the press box. Hey, press box, can you call for this person to report to guest services? And then Ethan was waiting for them at guest services, and if they showed up, he would say, "Oh, congrats! Like you were the winner of the Apex Foul Ball free tickets today. Here's some
Hmm.
free tickets to a future Sky Carp game."
Hmm.
So we did that. And then if we found them doing that, then we'd follow them back to their seat. And Ethan kind of served as a stalker.
Uh-huh.
So it ended up being, though, that the first person we called never showed up. And we gave them, like, there's somebody out there, and I'll never say their name because I don't want to crush their heart and soul. But we called, we waited 15 minutes. And we
50.
called them 3 times because we were like, I would feel really bad if we didn't. They never came, and
Oh my.
they had scanned in. And so
Mm.
we were like, all right, well, we have to move on. We can't keep waiting. We got to make sure we know that this person, because we can't read off a name and then then crickets. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
was the whole point was like you were supposed to be scanned in here to win. So the optic needed to be that this person was here. So that person missed, and we ran it again, and it ran in a kid spot, which was the 800 person group. And then so we randomized in between that and picked Claire's name out. I grabbed Gavin. He was the group sales representative who had brought the group in. I was like, can we go find that group rep, please?
Hmm.
And he's like, okay. So we go grab the group rep, and we're like, is Claire here? And he's like, yeah, she's right there. And we're like, okay,
Yes.
awesome. Sounds good. Ethan, get over here. And so then Ethan just kind of stood back and kept an eye on her through the end of the game. It also worked really well from a creative standpoint. So Matt, our head of production, was able to send our wireless camera to that general area for
Hmm.
post game. So our camera was right there. The second we announced that she had won, he was ready to call her up and put her on the screen. And she immediately like broke down into tears because she couldn't believe it. So it was so cool to have that moment fully captured. But yeah, so that's how we ran it. Just running some formulas in Excel, selecting, locating, and then stalking them through the end of the game. It was like they go into the bathroom, you wait outside the bathroom. Like
Uh-huh.
we were like, we can't lose this person or have them, run the risk. And we would have also delayed the announcement had they walked into the bathroom. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We would have waited and made sure that they were out and around. So I'm still so sad for those people that missed it, but we
Yep.
gave them 5 opportunities to come down to the booth in order to win it. So, but the system worked. It worked really well, and then it was really smooth the second time around. It was like just a rinse and repeat. And the first people actually that we pulled up were the first people where they were right in their seats, and it was no problem. So that was cool.
So two follow-up questions here.
Yeah.
When you did the giveaway for the tickets for
Hmm.
game one, did you do it before the fireworks show? Is
Yes.
that what you did? Okay,
Yeah.
so you have got that 5, 10 minutes for the players to get off the field and all that good
Exactly.
stuff. You could do it then. So that was
Mhm.
perfect. That made sense. So
Yep. And then we kind of had her come down and she helped us count down the fireworks show. We gave her like a big thing that looked like a ticket to the Arrows tour. And yeah, she said that she was a fan for life and a fan of Walnut Creeks for life. So that was really nice to the partner as well. And then she kind of just let everybody in the firework thing, gave her a chance to process on the field. And then
sure.
also gave us a chance to be like, if you're not comfortable walking to your car by yourself because you don't want people harassing you, trying to buy the tickets off of you or something, like we can also have security walk you out kind of a thing.
That's good. I'm glad y'all practiced because that's a
Yeah.
lot of background moving parts
Yeah.
there with trying to find the winner and going
Yeah.
through and picking people because
Yeah.
that's not only is it stressful in the night of, but
Mhm.
just taking that time. So Zach was spot on about
Yeah.
coming up with an idea of practicing that. So,
Yeah, exactly. It just made us feel so much better going into it. And then we just really want to make sure it was fair. Like we knew
mhm.
this was going to be a big deal. And so we wanted to have a foolproof plan in place to make sure that, if we can't find somebody, how do we move efficiently to the next person, but also do it in the most like respectful way to the contest for everybody who spent and is really hoping that they win the tickets.
Yeah. So then for game two, because you did this the
Mhm.
second time, did you
Yeah.
buy another set of tickets?
Yeah. Yep, and they were actually a little bit more expensive, and I kind of knew they would be.
Mhm.
The gals on my promo team, I was like, hey, I was like, am I gonna be? I was like, before I even look, like, is this worth it again? They're like, totally, you should do it. And then they were like, it might be more expensive. She has new stuff now in the show that she didn't have when you first bought them, and I was like, oh no. So they were about $1,000 more. Not terrible. But yeah, so pretty much right in that same ballpark. Again, it was the fees kind of that really moved them up that much higher. But almost the same row and section, just a slightly different. These ones were for Friday. The first night we got for Saturday. It was a little cheaper to go with the Friday night show. So because we wanted to
Now,
try to make it as convenient on these people as possible, rather than having to take off work and
mhm.
easier travel day on Saturday. So, and we figured Sunday might be tough. So it was nice that we got Friday ones though.
Yeah, and it's Indianapolis isn't that far to drive, so that
Couple
kind of worked
hours.
out for everyone. And I think
Yeah.
when you win tickets like that, and you're spending $20 to go to a game, and you
Yeah.
win $7,000
$6,000
tickets,
tickets.
like
Yeah.
I'll drive. That's fine.
Yep,
So,
exactly. No, and that's the thing too. It's like, we worked with some hotel partners to, give them some deals potentially on finding a place to stay down there that wouldn't also break the bank. Because as you can imagine, hotel
mhm.
rates for that weekend are shockingly high in the city
Oh,
of
really?
Indianapolis. Crazy, I know. Yeah.
Wild, wild. So now that you've done it twice,
Mhm.
number one, would you do it again? And then number two, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I definitely do it again. For Taylor Swift, I think specifically, we were actually just having this conversation because we were like, do we do another concert? And quite frankly, I don't know if there's anyone else out there that has this level of like the aura around this, and like how many people want to go, even if you're not a huge Swift fan. Like everybody just knows who Taylor Swift is. I mean, she is a massive pop star. So it's like, I don't we were like Billie Eilish or Sabrina Carpenter, while really popular right now. We're like, I don't know if it's going to have the same level of draw, and their tickets just quite frankly are probably more affordable. Like it was
Hmm.
such an expensive thing. So we're definitely like, we love this concept. We think that there's a market for it, and we've come up with some good ideas of like how to keep that rolling forward.
Hmm.
um if I were to do this one again, I don't know if I would have done the second night necessarily. It was good. It wasn't amazing. It definitely helped move it because we did it it was the first week's kids were back in school. And that week for us is notoriously terrible at the end of the season. It's just a tough week for ticket sales. So it
Hmm.
certainly improved. It was our best Thursday of the year. It was our best merchandise Thursday of the year. So like there was a lot. Food and beverage did their best on Thursday. So it definitely helped. But for me, it was like, I think that one night was so like spectacular
Hmm.
that it like I think almost everybody in the community even had like fatigue from the energy of it, and they're like, well, because it's like that hype up of you didn't win it that first time, and so I think there was a little bit more like, we're not going to win it, like
Hmm.
whatever. So I think there was a little bit of that. As far as doing it again, I'm, we're really proud of the night we put together for our fans. I think there's probably a little more we could have done concourse activation from like photo booths, or, what else could we have done on the concourse maybe is like we
Hmm.
could have maybe expanded that experience. But as far as the overall show went, as far as executing it, I'm pretty pleased overall with how it went. So, and, we've got that nice, I think what it does too is it shows us like this is what a spectacular theme night can look like. And
Hmm.
so what I'm excited about is we have this really awesome roadmap we can now go back to for every theme night this year and say, how do we try to make this as close to an Eras night as possible from a level of like the magnitude that it was
Hmm.
inside the facility for us.
Yeah, when you have everything clicking, you've got in-game entertainment, you got your sponsor bought in, you've got
Hmm.
fans buying boatloads of
Yeah.
tickets, you've got everything happening, but now you kind of have a template of, all right, if we're going to do another one, what will this look like in the future? So,
Right.
but I think you're right, more things on the concourse, photo booths, those things for fans to be able to do it, and probably that bracelet making station was packed. You might
Yeah.
have a couple of those
Might have to
next
do
time
more
too.
of them. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But it sounds like, I mean, overall, just a sensational night. Sold a boatload of tickets. People had fun, and most importantly, people walked away with some pretty cool memories.
Yeah, and I mean, that was it was really special. And I think for me, my like, you don't really get to slow down on those nights until
Hmm.
like, and so I was standing in the tunnel waiting to go out on the field after the game to announce the winner. And I was like, I told the sponsor was not comfortable being the one to announce it. And I was like, that's okay. It's like, there's going to be 3,000 other people that are going to be really sad that just didn't win Eras tickets. So I was like, I can do it. But I was standing down there, and we have an activation for an in-game sponsor that's like it's bring them home when somebody's on second or closer. And we were at the time losing, and we hit that trigger, and it's like a clap prompt on the screen, and the whole bowl started chanting it. And for the first time, it like hit me because it was all young girls' voices. Like it was
Oh.
so female dominant and really loud, but it was just such a female voice. And I was like,
Oh.
well, this is really cool. We have brought different people to the ballpark tonight, and they were locked in. At that point too, everybody was butts were in seats because it was coming up. The announcement was
Mhm.
happening soon. So it was like you could really feel how captive that audience was to the game. And I'm sure the guys enjoyed the energy as well on that night. But that was a really cool piece of it where, like, yeah, we created some really fun memories tonight. It was cute seeing little girls trading friendship bracelets on the concourse. Mandy and Mason, our MCs for the night, were like celebrities. There were little girls waiting in line to take pictures with them, and they're so cute, and they're really good with kids, but they looked great. And a couple little girls thought they were Taylor Swift. Like they genuinely like because they're both blonde. They had the really cute outfits on, but it was like they were celebrities. Like girls all over the concourse were running up to them. So it's like to be able to create those kind of things and still give
Mhm.
every little girl a Taylor Swift style experience, even if they didn't end up winning the tickets, I think was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to hear those types of things when you're creating so many memories that kids are going home and talking about. I think you hit a home run, no pun intended, but yeah, excellent job. Excellent job all the way around. So,
Yeah, until a total team effort, just start to finish, Matt up in the creative and the production. I mean, that was like simply spectacular. It was cool. I think the best thing for us to hear was we were looking through surveys, and it was one of our best net promoter score days of the year, which is great, especially which is tricky when there's 3,800 plus people in there and
mhm.
lines are long and it's clogged and chaotic. But the head of marketing for the Rockford Ice Hogs, which is a AHL team just south of us, he was here and he said that's the best theme night I've ever been to. And he's obviously very much in part like
Mhm.
a part of what he does there. So it's always nice to hear from members of your industry who come out and see it and hear those kind of compliments too. But yeah, everybody worked their tail off from tickets to groups to us. It was really a fun night, and it was like almost like, God, we have to play a game tomorrow. I was like, I gave so much to this day. I was like, we got a game at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We got to come back and do this all over again. So,
Go home, sleep, and wake up and do it all over again.
yeah, exactly. But it was a great way to kick off the summer part of our season, too. So I'm glad we kind of did it when we did it within the season. It really, I think, kind of catapulted the rest of the summer. It set such a tone for
Hmm.
the rest of the summer, which I think really helped ticket sales across the board, too. We got so many people in here early, and I think that helped bring them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Seven sellouts is something
Yeah,
to speak about for sure. So great
absolutely.
year, great promotion. If teams have questions, I can put your email in the
Yeah,
show notes, but can
please
they
do.
reach out, just kind of pick your brain a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. I'm happy to share it all. I've got, like I said, that roadmap kind of document we have that really goes through what we did. So I'm happy to always be a resource. If somebody's looking to do something like this or similar, happy to help.
Maria, well, I appreciate you being so candid and sharing all the fun things and the great memories and all the things that you did, things you do differently. I mean, this has been marvelous, and hopefully, this will help a lot of teams kind of think about promotions for next year and figure out what they could do to kind of replicate something like this. So, appreciate you.
Totally. Time of the year to start doing it. I know we're all looking at 2025 already. So happy to jump on. Thanks for having me.
You got it.